Hello, everyone, and welcome to Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet where we're feeling a little guh. I'm Will, and joining me this week, Brandon.
Yeah! Woo!
Ills.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
And Saf.
Yay.
Yeah. Saf, good luck putting a ceiling on that audio, because that was... I jumped back.
Already, not even a minute in, I'm doing work. Goddamn.
It's true.
Now you know how I felt in the Bethesda show.
It's true. Hey, you know what we're talking about. It's E3 week, baby. We did it. Well, actually, it's post E3 week, baby, when you're hearing this, but we still did it. That is it. That is the wrap. Treehouse wrapped up a few hours ago, and when that happens, E3 comes to a close. You start counting down until next year. But we got to get to it. There ain't nothing else to say, but a lot of news. So please join with us and pray for Saf. So a lot of conferences this year, right? Always a lot of conferences. So so we don't get too much in the minutia of a lot of these. Besides Nintendo, we will get incredibly in the minutia. I want to sort of take a takeaway that at least I got from watching them, and then we can sort of go from there, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So Microsoft EA did their thing. Star Wars looks fine, right?
Yeah,
I think
good.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Totally. That was, I think, the best way to present Star Wars and their overall thing. I'm happy they didn't do a conference.
I am so happy they added fucking timestamps.
Yes. Very nice.
Yeah. It was the best. They made a very good decision this year on that.
Yeah.
That's why they're not the worst conference.
It is true.
It's true. If they had a conference, it might have been one. But yeah.
So then the first actual conference was Microsoft, and I think the takeaway for me at least is, man, Microsoft is very serious about their first party. Yes. That was sort of how they introed. They had a thing which was like, they made sure to put up Microsoft Game Studios in front of all the games that were people that they owned. Right? They open with I forget the name of it. I feel bad. The game that the Ninja Theory people are working on, the action brawler. Bleeding Edge, thank you. And then from there, that's sort of their thing, is that like we didn't maybe get as many details on either Scarlet, which we do know now is officially called Scarlet.
Is that the official name?
That is the official code name. But and then, which is funny because that was what was the rumors, so it sort of gives credence to all those rumors. But and we didn't get a lot of Halo, because we know that Halo is launching in 2020 with Scarlet, holiday 2020. But besides that, they're not giving up on the Xbox One, which I think a lot of people were sort of expecting them to do. But they were showing a bunch of games that they're like, no, like there's still a reason, and part of that is also Game Pass. I think this was like almost the biggest thing for a lot of people was Game Pass was a huge takeaway from this conference.
Yeah, they actually put a lot of focus on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like with every game, like a lot of the games they would show you in the corner, like, oh, this is going to be part of Game Pass. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, they also made a really, really good deal for Game Pass as well, just so that they can promote it, which is impressive.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think it goes for the rest of the month. So if you have an Xbox and you want Game Pass Ultimate, this is the thing they announced too. They've completely sort of revamped Game Pass for PC and now has this own library that has a lot of overlap with the Xbox One Game Pass, but not 100%. But you can get that, Xbox Game Pass, and Xbox Live Gold for $1 a month. Mm-hmm. But if you already have a subscription, you can upgrade whatever your current subscription is. So people have been able to basically buy 3 years of gold and then upgrade all of that for $1. And it saves you, like, if you were planning on getting Game Pass Ultimate, like $240. So
Yeah, that's what I did. Oh my god, dude, I'm so pumped just thinking about that. I'm like, oh, I got Game Pass for 3 years now?
Yeah.
And the first party stuff was nice because it was all those things are going to be on Game Pass day one, right? Like, and things like The Outer Worlds, which they showed off, which was, Obsidian. They now own Obsidian, but they... that game was not being published by Microsoft, but they got the deal to have it be on Game Pass day one. And then a company that we personally enjoy a lot here, and a game that we personally enjoyed a lot on this podcast historically, Double Fine and Psychonauts. Their big acquisition. They
a huge get. Oh man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And because
they showed a little bit of it. It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like the first Psychonauts, but like obviously upgraded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah.
It's very faithful to the style.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this. The other writer on the Game Times besides Tim Schafer, I forget his name, but he's the guy that wrote Portal at 1 and 2. So like, hey man, that game's gonna be funny. But I think it's also interesting because before Psychonauts 2 was acquired by Microsoft, it was being published by Starbreeze, who was a company that they're most well known for making Payday 2, probably. But they were having a lot of financial problems. And so, unlike a lot of the other acquisitions where, like I said, Outer Worlds still being published by, I forget who.
Obsidian.
Yeah. I think Deep Silver's publishing Outer Worlds on other consoles. Microsoft is publishing Psychonauts 2. They're the ones that are taking the full control of that game.
Damn. That makes me wonder if it's gonna be an Xbox exclusive or not.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because with Outer World, they were like, well, you guys were already working on this game. It's already going to be multi-platform. It's still going to release on other consoles. So I wonder if that's going to be the case.
Yeah. And then one final thing from Xbox. I mean, you can all give your shout outs to things that you thought were of note. But I was like, what? When Phantasy Star Online 2, long after you had no reason to believe it would ever come to the West, we have heard nothing for 5 years. Suddenly it is console exclusive to Xbox One. What in the world? And it's also coming to PC. What an insane thing.
That was wild.
Yeah, he's, once again, I'll always plug this. The Phil Spencer, Jeff Gerstmann interview every E3, always a treat. And he was sort of saying, like, Phil Spencer was saying, like, Phantasy Star is this game that, like, a lot of the MMO things, a lot of, like, being in a lobby, a lot of the things that, like, people don't know started with Phantasy Star Online 1 because it never really became big in the West. And so he's like, he seems like a guy that's very much about, like, the history of, like, where things came from and knowing where, the history of games. And so for him, it seems, he was saying almost like it would be a service to have people know what Phantasy Star Online is, period, in the West. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer's a real good guy.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that his face is way too smug.
What are you talking about?
Like, he looks like his face is punchable. Like,
no, what are you talking about?
You talking about Philip Spencer right now?
Let's talk about
friend
games. Jesus Christ.
Seth, the only face that feels punchable right now is yours, my dear.
Yeah,
you better watch
real.
yourself, brother. Yeah, but I mean, I think that there was a lot of people walking in hyping this conference up to the world and back, and so I saw some people being like, that wasn't the best conference of all time, so I was disappointed. But I thought it was I enjoyed the
conference.
Watch.
It was a good conference. I mean, there was a lot of stars. Fucking Cyberpunk was really cool from what they showed of it.
The Keanu moment?
Keanu Reeves.
The most watched moment of E3 is they have the trailer trackers, and Cyberpunk has the most by like a pretty wide margin, and it is all for Keanu, baby. They picked the perfect moment for that.
The internet loves it.
yeah. He's
It
a
was
very
very funny.
likable guy.
He was so hyped to be there, and I don't know, it felt wholesome. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was good. The confirmation of Elden Ring, the George R. R. Martin and From Software collab.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you almost feel bad because, like, if you imagine in the world where you didn't hear about this at all, and it's like Miyazaki and George R. R. Martin, you would have been like, "What is this?"
Fucking leakers ruin everything.
Yeah, that was a general purveying thing over this E3 is that like leaks were sort of everywhere. Like the only people that didn't really get leaked that badly was Nintendo, and I think it helped sort of their perception of their conference. But overall, I think it was still a really good showing for Microsoft.
Yeah, Ori. Oh my god, Ori looks amazing.
Yeah, and I'm super happy that like that game because they talked in interviews that sort of their goal going forward for their first party is to have a first party release every 3 months. Mm-hmm. And I think that is sort of exactly right for a Game Pass like service. Like you'll have these games from third parties that'll get added on. They added Hollow Knight, which is there's no reason to not play Hollow Knight. They added Borderlands Handsome Collection. Metro Exodus is only like 2 months old. It's already on Game Pass. and adding those games on while having your sort of first party to like draw attention back to it every 3 months or so is a really smart plan, at least from my perspective looking in on it. But yeah, a group of people that did not have as great a conference, I would say Bethesda.
Oh, whoa, we're moving away from the Xbox.
No, you can tell me whenever you want to stop. Basically,
I mean,
we
should I just keep talking, or is anybody else gonna say something?
Brandon, Zaf, you have any takeaways?
I mean, I really liked Xbox. I mean, to me, it's probably tied for the second best. For me, at least. Just they were lots and lots of games.
Yeah,
We have 60 games, and they were just non-stop games, right? They stopped a little bit to talk about Scarlet. They stopped a little bit to talk about xCloud and Game Pass. But even then, they didn't really take up that much time to do it.
It was quite a bit overwhelming with the amount of content they had in relation to like their announcements and the games that they were putting out there. It was interesting. Some of the things I wanted to see a little more of in terms of like gameplay wise, but again, with the amount of shit that they actually have, I feel okay. Like it was a decent conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely wanted to see more gameplay. Like that was my biggest. If I had to give a critique about it, it was just lots of cinematic trailers, and that was really my problem with most
Bethesda.
of E3 in general.
Yeah, it was a very pervasive thing. Yeah. And we'll sort of
I just wanted to shout out a couple more games. Spiritfarer looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritfarer looks amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man, like that's gonna hit you in the feels for sure.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot looks good.
Did anyone see the gameplay demo for that? Yeah.
Yep, I saw it.
Yeah.
We all saw some of the gameplay,
It's like the 7th most viewed trailer of E3. It's like you never underestimate Dragon Ball, man. Jump like Fighters and then Jump Force and then this again. Like people love it. People love anime.
It doesn't matter how many times you go through those first like 3 arcs of the story.
It's true. The interviews with that are hilarious.
Go to Namek a million times and they'll still want it.
Yeah. Because you'll ask, are we going past Frieza? And they're like, wait and see. Wait and see if you go past Frieza.
Yeah, they won't answer it.
Yeah.
Because they won't go there.
Yeah. I think, come on, they better. It's 2018.
You hope.
We don't know.
And Tales of Arise, that was an announcement. That looked pretty sweet too.
Yeah. It's cool.
I mean, like, Tales is a series that, like, I mean, I played Vesperia earlier this year again, and I love that game, right? And there's a ton of Tales games that I enjoy a ton, but it is nice to sort of like see them be like, you know what, we're gonna give it a little bit more budget. We're gonna try to make this thing a little bit bigger than we have let it be in the past. Because Tales of like Berseria is not like it's not pushing polygons, you know. But like Tales of Symphonia when it came out did look really good, you know. Like Vesperia looked really good when it came out, and I think it's fun to sort of have that again for this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, ooh, what is this not anime art style? It's weird. Yeah. For the series, at least. Mm-hmm. And it kind of looked generic, but that was just from like this one screenshot. Yeah. And actually seeing it in motion, it looks better than, you know, before it was just like, what is this, just an Unreal Engine? Like somebody making, you know, Tales of Symphonia or Tales of Vesperia or whatever in Unreal 4, you know? Yeah. But it actually looks a lot better in action, so.
Yeah. And I think the last 2 things I wanted to shout out, Minecraft Dungeons, that looks kind of like fun. I don't know.
Yeah, that looks interesting. Yeah.
It got me thinking, because it's pretty crazy to me that Minecraft is one of the biggest games in the world, right? But it has not had a...
It just surpassed Tetris, actually. Shout out.
I think it might be the best-selling game of all time, actually, now.
Yeah, it is now.
But it's never been spin-off heavy. Like, there's the Telltale game, but, like, besides that, it's just sort of been main Minecraft. Now we have we didn't talk about it, but they announced, like, a mobile phone, like, Pokemon Go style thing where you build things and then share, sort of, like, using AR stuff. And now Dungeons, like, they're letting Minecraft sort of become this very versatile franchise where it can be like a Diablo-like or like a weird Pokemon Go-like or all these other things, and that's cool.
And has a very appealing art style. Like, in that in the trailer they showed, it looked genuinely fun.
I also liked the trailer for Ori.
Yeah, Ori was amazing. Yeah. Oh my god, it looks so good.
I think I put it as like one of my top. When we did a podcast earlier, one of my top games of 2019 that I'm looking forward to, which it was delayed, which of course, you know, that just every time. But, you know, it looks as incredible as it did, and I can't wait for that game, man.
And the last little thing I wanted to mention was the Borderlands 2 DLC that sets up Borderlands 3. That caught me completely off guard.
Yeah.
I had no fucking idea that was coming.
It's very clever because I downloaded it on Game Pass, right? The Handsome Collection. And it's also free on PS Plus right now, and it's also like $2 on Steam. Like it's everywhere. But if you load it up, the very first thing you see is pre-order Borderlands 3. You press that button, and it takes you to the store. And I was like, it's funny that more games don't do that. Like you have an upcoming game coming out, you use your old game, put it free, and have it plug the thing that's coming up.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's so crazy they would release DLC to that game. That game is so old now.
Yeah, I know. That's insane. Props to them though for doing that.
And it's cool that it's like bridging the story. That's a neat thing.
Instead of making the pre-sequel, which that didn't go over.
That was pretty good. That was a good game.
It was a decent game, but not as good as 2.
Justice for the pre-sequel, man.
Justice for the pre-sequel.
Fine.
Justice I like Tetris. You know what I mean? Yo, we have to get Telltale back up and running so we can get some fucking Tetris spin-off.
Tetris story mode. Let's
exactly. You gotta get it back on top.
It's true.
Minecraft.
But that is So, thanks for covering those because it's there's a lot. There's a lot.
I know that the Nintendo conference melted everybody's minds.
Yeah.
So I had to write stuff down.
Then after that, this one won't be as hard to remember what they showed because there was less of it. Bethesda did their conference. There was a bet being made that was just a thing of like, will they even mention Fallout 76? Boy howdy did they.
Yeah, they did.
They were my takeaway was they're not sorry. Bethesda's my other takeaway is yeah.
Oh yeah. I swear that guy must have been a plant or something.
We found out later that they had an open bar beforehand, so it was just some guy that was feeling himself. He had a couple. But we said, what is Bethesda going to announce? And they announced 2 new things: Ghostwire Tokyo, and then Deathloop. And they were both great trailers, but I don't know what they are as video trailers. Yeah. I don't know what they are as video games.
Ghostwire was especially fantastic. Like, if you see the transitions that they did, especially near the end, it was really, really cool. Like, it really...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in concept, yeah, but I want to see gameplay.
That's true. Exactly. Like, you're like, wow, this is a really cool trailer, but, like, we have no idea what that game is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And like, I mean, the Akumi Nakamura, I think is her name, the lady who presented Ghostwire, like, it was the one moment where I felt goodwill for someone in this conference,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Where I was like, I'm going to give you a shot, like,
she I think was the second place for probably
wholesome presenter. Yeah.
Most adorable, wholesome moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Keanu is hard to beat because you're breathtaking. But like,
there is a third place. Though. We'll get to that.
Oh, I'm interested because I don't know. I don't have it on the top of my head.
Check the rankings.
Most wholesome E3 moments. I will say though, we probably won't even touch on it. Not a lot of cringe. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna be hard pressed to find a cringe compilation. I'm sure somebody will make one, but it wasn't as bad, right?
No.
Usually E3 is like. You got the Peggle 2 guy.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of love the Peggle 2 guy, though.
I love the Peggle 2 guy, too. Don't get me wrong. But, like, it's hard to find those moments this year. There wasn't as many.
Yeah.
Bethesda was a little bit cringe.
It was the guys. It was the crowd more so than the presenters.
Well, that and, like, half of their conference was them trying to, like, humanize the company so that you
wouldn't be angry
much. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That was weird. All the whole, like, the reel of just people being like, I've been playing Fallout since I was like 6 months old, and I love this game so much. Like,
and they were like wearing costumes and
it's just it was like them sucking their own dicks. It was weird.
Because like previous years, they had done. Here's developers, right? Like I work at Bethesda, I do this, and that's how they would intro their conference, right? And it was like I kind of liked it because it was like, oh, it's nice to put a face to a development studio besides just Todd Howard's smug face, and like. That was fun, but like it's different when it's like positioning it as like, no, we're important. Like, look at how important Fallout is, and it's like, if it's important, then you let a lot of people down last year,
Yeah.
But they did announce, I can't believe it, they couldn't get the servers to run at launch. So they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put 52 people in an arena and do a battle royale game for Fallout 76.
Jeez. I don't remember how they said it exactly, but they made it a point to swear too about it.
Yeah,
like we put a fucking battle royale game in Fallout. It's like,
I liked how they were celebrating that their community was so nice, but like nobody's playing that game.
Yeah,
these people don't kill each other.
That's why they're nice.
We have the non-toxic community.
That's why they're nice. No one's there.
All 7 people agreed because they're all already friends.
Yeah, I think I saw somebody pointed out online. They were like, the only reason why people do that is because your game is so fucking broken.
Yeah, like if you try to shoot them, it won't work.
Yeah.
And then they also announced, hey guys, NPCs are back. Humans, can you believe it?
And then the crowd was pumped for it.
They
right?
loved it.
Like, the crowd was pumped for every fucking thing.
Yeah, here's a mobile game. The crowd was ecstatic.
Oh my god.
Here's Elder Scrolls Blades on Switch.
So yeah, their whole conference was just like cinematic trailers and mobile games. Cinematic trailers and mobile games.
They did have Commander Keen came back. I almost forgot about that.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Nightmare.
But they did have they had one thing in their pocket, and they knew they saved it for last. Here's Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
And that looks great.
The highlight.
Yeah. But,
the only light.
Yeah.
Light in the darkness.
Yeah. But I mean, that game, it looks like exactly what it needs to be, and like it's coming out later this year, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Same.
And once again, one of the 5 gameplay demos that we got prior to in main conferences this year. So please be excited for that one. Right now it's Fallout, and not Fallout, excuse me, Star Wars and Doom. But then, that was Bethesda. Bad vibes, but whatever.
We got over it.
Then the next day we had to wait. It was later in the day because I guess we should say this. There was PC Gaming Show.
Yeah.
It was a pretty enjoyable watch. PC Gaming Show is always a different pace than like other conferences. It's far more like, here's a trailer, and then we're gonna do a developer interview, and they sort of alternate.
Yeah.
But this is my sort of takeaway from this one was like indie games were sort of carrying this E3 a lot for me, right? Because we're at the end of the console life cycle, right? They're, big AAA devs are not going to be greenlighting new projects for these systems because, you have the next console in holiday 2020. We know the day now for Scarlet. And, but indie games don't care. They're like, whatever, we'll release whenever we can. And, there was Chris Tales, the RPG that has, I can't even describe the animation.
That game looks so good.
Yeah. And a bunch of other things. There wasn't any like big Megaton new things, but there was just tons of like, man, that looks really neat and cool. And we thought it would be Epic Game Store exclusives because it was sponsored by Epic Game Store. They had one montage, but besides that, they weren't very obtrusive. I guess the one game that did get people mad was Shenmue 3 is now on Epic Game Store, not on Steam. So,
of course,
sorry to all you Shenmue fans.
Rest in peace.
I'm not sorry.
It's fine. But yeah, so maybe not too much to touch on there, but it was still a fun watch. Then we get to Ubisoft, who are, we were buffing up Ubisoft over the last couple weeks, but they had I would say it was an off year, right? They didn't have a lot new to announce. They sort of had 2 new things, but my takeaway here was sort of a thing that applies to all of E3: the power of like a good demo, right? Uh-huh. Like, we had 2 announcements at the beginning and end of the show. We had Gods and Monsters and Watch Dogs Legions, right? And on paper, I should be way more interested in Gods and Monsters because of the art style, and, like, I'm not super into modern day, like, open world shooters, right?
Right.
But, like, that Watch Dogs demo was great.
But then you saw Grandma.
Then I saw
Grandma.
Yeah. And like, and then with Gods and Monsters, I'm like, what is this video game? Like, I know it's Greek mythology, but that's it, and it's open world, but like, and there's demos on the show floor for that game, and I still don't know what it is.
Yeah. Why didn't they show off gameplay for that game?
Yeah, because it's coming in February. But I mean, while that all is being said, Watch Dogs, I can't believe they got me again.
Watch Dogs looks interesting. I feel like I want to give it a try.
For me, it's like this is a post-Brexit world, and I'm in Britain, still going through this Brexit world. So it's kind of awkward. It just feels a little bit weird.
No, this is what your future will look like, Seth. Grandmas are going to be tasing people.
Grandma's going to be tasing people. Your old grandfather was going to be spending cryptocurrency to buy organs on the black market, I believe. All that jazz. It's going to be a police state, I guess. So that's going to be fun. What the...
Yeah, I mean... But I guess if you didn't see the demo... The gimmick for this game, this sadly did get leaked, but it's one that, like, in execution, I think made more sense, which is this idea that you can recruit essentially any NPC in the world.
Yeah.
And that you can go and look at any NPC, and you can see their stats, you can see, like, things that they're better at or worse at. There was someone that's like a daredevil that does, like, plus 100 damage, but could die at any time, like, just randomly, and stuff like that. And the way they really showed that was they show your little menu of like all the people you've recruited, and the guy picks Grandma. And Grandma, no one suspects Grandma, so she just gets past all these security checkpoints, and then she kicks butt, and she has a drone. It's a lot of stuff. But
it's really, I like it. And then there's permadeath. You know, if you die, they're dead forever, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting idea. I mean, the fact that it's just like this group of people that are sort of disconnected, but for this AI. Just choose, it's super
and also
cool.
like how it's very non-political. That's also fun.
What?
No, to be fair to them, Watch Dogs is the one series that they have said is political. Okay. This is the one they will say the Ghost Recon is not, but Watch Dogs is, which I mean, whatever.
Okay.
But either way, speaking of, it was also we said that like they have like 7 games they have that are ongoing. They gave updates to those games, but I'm not playing any of them, so it didn't mean that much to me. And then they had a dog.
Yeah.
Don't know.
That's okay, Rob McElhenney. That's the third most wholesome moment.
Oh, yeah.
Rob McElhenney come out with his dog.
No, that's not Rob.
No, it wasn't his dog. It was...
No, you're mixing the actors, dude.
John
Barenthal. Yeah, you're right. Jeez. But there was a dog.
Yeah. All white people are the same.
You're right.
He's all right through you.
I was excited about Rob McElhenney being there, too. Yeah. I was more excited about the dog.
When he came out, I was like, what?
I thought they were making the Always Sunny in Philadelphia game or some shit, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? How are they going to make this into a game?
Nah. It's he has a show, and they filmed at E3 to like make it seem like they were actually announcing. It's very strange.
Yeah.
That was a very weird, like, it was just a weird moment because it wasn't.
I hope it's funny.
Yeah.
It
looks kind of funny.
I'm sure it will be. I mean, him and I think he mentioned Charlie Day is
writing it. Yeah, it is
on that too. So yeah, I mean they're hilarious. You know it's gonna be good.
Yeah. And then I mean, besides that, was there any other things you wanted to make note of? There was that roller derby game, Roller Champions.
Yeah, it looked cool, but I couldn't remember my Uplay password, so I couldn't download it. So it's like, all right.
Oh,
they did like a beta for it.
Yeah. Speaking of Uplay,
I think before I go into it, I think the biggest takeaway for that E3 is but Ubisoft's E3 is that one tweet that I read where it's like Tom Clancy is the Walt Disney for people who like to fuck their guns. And it's because like most of the fucking E3 was just Tom Clancy games.
Most of it was. Lots of Tom Clancy with no Splinter Cell. The only one I care about.
Oh, no. Sam Fisher did show up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
That was an insult.
Oh, Jesus.
That game did not look very good.
Not at all.
It's so funny to me because I was like, why isn't like Watch Dogs guy here? And then I was like, oh, no, it's all the Tom Clancy things. There's literally a Tom Clancy like tactical crossover game. But it's like the guy from The Division, and it's like, is that a character? I don't know. I recognize the guy that looks like American Sniper from Ghost Recon because they showed him in the trailer right beforehand. But besides that, it was just Sam Fisher.
This is like the most uninteresting character. Put them all together.
Yeah, that's what got me. I think it was a montage or something where they mentioned something about, like all the people who cosplay in the the Ghost Recon community. I was like, who the fuck cosplays the Ghost Recon character?
That just feels like you're like a doomsday
throw on
prepper.
some tactical gear.
Yeah, I would just be scared of them. I wouldn't know they were in cosplay.
I wouldn't either. I'd be like, oh, the army's here.
Oh shit! It's one of those.
No offense to anybody who cosplays Ghost Recon characters, but like, I was like, what the fuck?
You're gonna need to signify that to me, dog.
I'm taking a lot of offense. That's my favorite cosplay.
It's true. Ilse is just covered in tactical gear right now as we record the podcast.
Camouflage paint and everything.
But the other thing they announced, added onto the pile, another subscription service, baby. Uplay Plus.
Oh, God.
$15 for
this
$15
fucking thing is $15 a month. Fuck
what?
that.
What a ripoff!
Same thing as Uplay Origin, and that's a lot. That's
EA
a lot.
Origin, you mean?
Yeah, EA Origin. I'm sorry. Oops.
Yeah.
And they said that it will be on Stadia, but I think on the follow-up that is in addition to your Stadia Plus. So you have to do the $10 a month for the Stadia and then the $15 for the Ubisoft.
Right,
games.
how like EA Access is like in addition to PlayStation Plus or Xbox Gold.
Yeah.
So get out of that. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
I'm not interested in this at all.
Yeah.
How can they price it the same as fucking Game Pass?
That's the thing. I mean, it's less than Game Pass is the thing. Game Pass is $10. For $15 you get it on PC and on consoles, and there's like even more games.
This is unconscionable.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I mean, I'm sure there'll be some Tom Clancy heads out there that are gonna lap that up because they buy 6 Ubisoft games a year, but that ain't us, dog.
No.
Yeah. So that was. It was a low energy conference, I think, was the other thing too.
Yeah.
Like I was just I felt sleepy a little bit.
Yeah, usually it's weird because usually Ubisoft's been doing good the last couple of years. Like there was a year where I thought they did the best, like a couple of years ago, and this year though it's just really not hitting it for me at all.
Yeah, I think
they started strong with Legion, and then they picked it up a little bit with a dog.
yeah.
We're no Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is
they announced that beforehand, but still you're sort of like, where is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm losing interest in that game, and I never thought I'd say this about an actual fucking Beyond Good and Evil game that's coming out now finally. And I wouldn't think I would say, but I'm losing interest. The more I see of it, the less I care because it just doesn't seem what I want, Yeah. And
I mean, it's very clearly going to be a next gen game, right? Like there was, that was another thing too, is that like the reason I guess they announced one more game, which was the like Ghost Recon Quarantine. Was it? I don't know if it was good. It was some Tom Clancy and Quarantine was in the name.
Anyway, they had me lost. It all blends together.
Isn't that part of
the Division expansion?
I'm so confused.
It's like expansion of DLC, one or the other.
I thought it was
no,
a new
it's
game.
not.
I don't know anymore.
Either way, we can't tell it apart.
No.
And sorry to people that maybe
tournament,
can, but I can't.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can. But right after the tournament, they had or right after the press conference, they had a tournament type thing, or like a best out of like 9 series.
Yeah.
For charity, and it was like Team T-Pain versus Team Lil Yachty.
I mean,
that's a thing. And it was in between press conferences, and I was just on my computer playing Fire Emblem, so I had it running, and I was watching it. And I gotta say, I'm hard pressed to even know what Tom Clancy game they were playing. Yeah. I don't even remember, right? Like, I really don't.
Maybe the best part of that whole thing was the pre-show that Ice-T giving gamer tips.
That was good.
That was good.
That was great.
That last one,
decent.
That was the part where it's like, my game's getting more inclusive. What should I do? A, moan about it online. B, ignore it. C, and he just goes off on like, oh, you dumbass, like racists and homophobes and like all you pieces of shit. Like, stop complaining that your people can play video games. I hate you. And you're like, what, Ice-T? Okay, good.
Drawing a line in the sand.
But he's the guy to do it.
Oh shit!
Wasn't he the same one who played like he didn't know anything about video games in that one episode, the gamer episode of fucking like whatever
SVU?
show he was on?
No, he's the one who knew the most.
He knew the most.
He is the one who knew the most. That's what it was.
I see his history at E3. He played Gears 3 for Microsoft on stage.
Yeah, he plays games.
He was the one who knew the most. God, that episode, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Fifth most wholesome moment at E3. Ice-T telling racists to screw themselves.
We're ranking them.
So Quarantine was like Rainbow Six is a full-on game expanded from.
Okay, it's a whole game. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Look forward to it. That's coming in like. Oh, the other thing I do feel bad about for Watch Dogs, that is like coming out in the hell month that is March 2020 because like the week before is Final Fantasy VII Remake and the week after is Animal Crossing, and I'm like, dog, I don't know if I can make time.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Watch Dogs, you're canceled.
Yeah, we're waiting. That's gonna be waiting for. I guess it won't be on Game Pass because of Uplay Plus. Dang it.
Fuck! God damn it, Ubisoft.
But you know that's fine. Then after that, what was after that? Oh, there was, I guess, nothing until Square Enix. Where
wait, wasn't there a Devolver?
Oh no, Devolver was after Bethesda. I completely skipped Devolver. Oh, I'm so confused. So let's go back. We're on the tape back. Devolver. Not known. They're never like, hey, we're gonna be an announcement heavy thing. We're showing up for the lore.
It's such good lore, though.
Nina Struthers.
They put on a show.
Yeah, the Devolver Direct, just straight up stealing the UI from Nintendo.
Oh, that was amazing.
It was very funny. Carrion looks cool, by the way.
It does.
Carrion, the expansion for the Messenger looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Surprisingly good. I did not expect it.
Yeah.
And Fall Guys look interesting.
The bootleg games. Oh
Fall Guys.
The what game?
What one?
Anyway.
Alright.
What was the game? I'm so confused.
The bootleg games.
The bootleg games. Yes, and the fact that those are real, I love those. And the actual Enter the Gungeon arcade cabinet. That's the stuff.
Yeah. What?
God, I wish that was real. I mean, well, I wish
affordable
it was in my house.
Yeah. I wish I had $5,000 to blow. But until then, it's fine. So then I guess going back to Square Enix,
Wow, you skipped right over limited run games.
Also a very fun conference.
Sure. Kind of funny games too. Come on.
The kind of funny games thing was actually really good. You're right. Well, I guess limited run, the one announcement that is cool, they're bringing back all the old Star Wars games, basically, physically.
See, yeah, that was, I thought was super cool at first because I thought it was going to be a collection, but it's not. I guess.
You gotta buy them individually.
Which I'm like, dog. I mean, some of these games are like NES games and shit and arcade games. Yeah. Like, I'm not paying like $30, $20, whatever for this. Yeah. Like, if it was in a collection, I'll pay $60 for all these games, sure.
That was the perfect time for a collection.
Yeah, right? I
Why
thought it
would
was.
you? Yeah. That's the only reason. That's the only way that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, like, they're physical. It's their whole thing, and, like, they're very collector-focused. And so I guess their thought was, like, if you have the one game that's missing from your thing, you can do it now, you know?
Well, I don't know. I saw they had a collection earlier in the show for the 3DS, like their first 3DS game.
Yeah, it's the Mutant Mudds guy.
Yeah, Mutant Mudds and Zeo Drifter, some puzzle game. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's neat. Like a little collection of all their games. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So this Star Wars thing, I was really hoping. I mean, they landed Star Wars though, so good for them, right? Because they're like just like two guys. Like started up, it was just two dudes. Like, hey, we want to preserve these digital games.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really good. That's a good get for them. But I don't know. I was expecting it not. I'm not paying like whatever for the NES Star Wars.
Yeah. They did do a funny bit. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was like a funny conference. I mean, like a presentation.
Yeah, so they did a very similar thing last year with like the 2D crowd and like the one person cheering, that whole thing.
Yeah, they did that last year too. Yeah,
but it was
funny though. They did a good job.
Yeah. But did one of them transform into a Switch?
No, I think they turned into a Vita last year. This is the only conference you're going to see the Vita being mentioned in, by the way.
This
and
is the
3DS.
last one too. They said it's their last batch of Vita games.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the Wii refuses to die because Just Dance, by the way, still coming on Wii now, which is the
highlight of Ubisoft is that.
So then, yeah, and then the Kind of Funny Game Showcase. Just go watch that. It's like 60 minutes. They go through a ton of games. Skatebird looks great.
Skatebird, I played it though. No, it's very, very early.
Very early. Give it time. Yeah. And then, what's the name? Brave Earth Prologue. Is that
game
was cool.
Sweet.
And it's from the I Want to Be the Guy dude. When I saw that pop up, I was like, oh my god, where's Unregistered Hypercam 2? I'm in 2008 again, watching crappy YouTube Let's Plays. But no, he's in the last decade, he's been training, and he's making a seemingly cool video game.
Castlevania game, basically.
Yeah, they're not being shameful about it, but I mean, Circle of the Moon came out last year. That game was sick. Hopefully, this game's cool too.
Circle of the Moon.
The not Circle of the Moon. What is it? Curse of the Moon. Thank you. Listen, the Castlevania naming conventions. It's
Harmony of Dissonance.
But it's time. Square Enix. I think we've done everyone else up to this point. They opened up. They said, "Hey, man, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let's just have a conversation about it." And they said Moose's greatest fear was realized, but when it happened, he felt okay actually about it. This is the part 1 is Midgar. They're making it Midgar, baby. But of course, they're doing it up. Yeah. Midgar is a lot. It's interesting, really fast, before we get too much into the details. Tim Rogers, a guy who works for Kotaku, but he did a whole thing about the translation of Final Fantasy VII for 5 years. It was just this project he kept working on about the process of it. And if anyone's gonna know, it's him. He's a third of the text in Final Fantasy VII is in Midgar. So that's actually interesting from that perspective. But the game itself, I mean, it's just, who knows how long it'll be. They said it'll be 2 Blu-ray discs. That was a mistranslation. That it won't be. Right now it seems like it's just going to be 1 Blu-ray disc. So that was the thing that we should correct the record on. But it looks really good. They show Tifa. Tifa looks really good.
Tifa looks amazing. Oh, man.
Tifa always looked amazing, but yeah,
she looks way better now.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to like her in this version.
Yeah.
I fucking hated her before.
Wow. How can you hate Tifa?
Yeah. Listen, my life doesn't revolve around anime tits, all right?
That's a fair point.
Mine...
I know yours does. Okay.
Only half. The other is achievement.
That's true. Okay. But along the way, which I'm really fast, I guess, on that Tifa thing, because when they first didn't show her, I thought oh man, it's going to be very hard to thread the needle on Tifa, because there's going to be a group of people that are going to be mad if they keep it too faithful or they change it too much, right? Whatever. They did it. I didn't see that many people mad. They nailed it.
Are you talking specifically about cup size right now?
Yes, 100%. It was it's if they move it back, people are going to complain. If they don't, they won't. But they made it work. The rest of her design is also included in that too. But
just the fluidity of her attacks is so good. Oh man, I'm very hyped about playing with her.
Yeah, I was
because the game is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I was using Tifa because she was the martial artist character, and that's kind of used to be a thing that I enjoyed. But seeing her redesign and seeing her move and fight in that game, it's just really got me excited and using her as one of my main parties again.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw away Vincent.
Yeah, he's dead to us. But because and I mean, I was always excited for her because, like you said, she is more like kung fu. Because this is it's a mix. I think they've actually found a pretty good compromise between the more actiony side of Final Fantasy 15 and the more traditional turn-based thing, which is that you have your basic attack that it does damage, but the main thing that the basic attack does is it helps you build your ATB meter, which you can then cash in on either spells or on, Cloud has Braver, which used to be a limit break, is now just a skill he can use, and that's where a lot of your damage output comes from.
Yeah.
But they just had just a 15-minute demo basically of just that first boss, which in the main game is 5 minutes, but no, they made it a whole process. The music,
it's long as fuck. Holy shit.
Yeah, and they were doing jump cuts in the middle of it, and I was like, damn, dude, this boss probably takes at least 40 minutes here.
It's brutal.
Maybe, but don't want to be underleveled. That's the thing. Don't walk in underleveled.
Yeah. I like the interactivity. I like the conversations that Cloud and Barrett have, but
Cloud said shit.
I don't like Barrett's voice.
I mean, Barrett's voice could be worked on.
I didn't think it was that great either. I expected him to be more witty than he was. I don't know.
Yeah, Barrett's voice could be
Cloud
worked on,
said shit. I just want to point it out.
This is not your mama's.
Yeah.
But the comeback looked good. I mean, it reminded me kind of what was the comparison I made before? I think it was Kingdom Hearts meets Parasite Eve or some shit like that. I don't know.
Sure.
For the battle system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just
Parasite Eve.
I don't know. I had
2019.
I had a wittier comparison in my mind, but I lost it.
It's fine. But yeah, and I think that just that moment, also making their clear reasons to swap between the different characters is really cool. Like they did a good job at showing that, right? Like there's enemies that are far off. You can't fight him as Cloud. You can fight him as Barret because he has a ranged weapon, right?
Right.
There's a moment where Cloud gets picked up and you have to swap to Barret to knock Cloud out of the grab, basically, and stuff like that.
I remember what it was now. It was Kingdom Hearts meets Final Fantasy 11.
Okay.
11.
I mean, I still got the reference with Parasite Eve. I mean, Parasite Eve was kind of like you walk around and then you stop and like select like turn-based.
Wait, is it 11? No, 12. Fuck.
12.
What is going on?
11 is the MMOs, which is why I was confused.
Okay.
Either way, I appreciated that like A is coming March 2020, fair time frame, and they sort of, you know, if it is going to take 15 years, it's going to take 15 years. Is sort of where I'm at now, right?
Yeah.
But like we're getting part of it now, and like it looks super faithful. You know, you have there's been a ton of tweets of like the side-by shot of like Aerith with the flower basket, and then it zooms out the very opening, and then it has that to open the trailer, and you're like, man, like look at this, like it was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's also some like mixed up elements in there. Like you see Aerith getting attacked by some like kind of like black smoke, and you're like, that was not in the original
What
game.
was that?
Yeah.
I can't. If I were to take a guess, it would be like the weird Sephiroth clones. Spoilers. The weird like shadow guys that you see throughout the game at different points.
I don't want that to be the case.
I mean, well, like who knows? Like, because Aerith is like she's magic. I mean, they're going to expand on stuff, right? They're 100% going to do that.
I'm scared about the expansions that they make. I don't trust them as much as I used to.
It's the thing is like it's. I mean, that they had what's his name? I forget, no more, and I forget the other guy's name. But they sort of said like, you both worked on 7. Yeah, Kotase, and they were like, you both worked on 7. Like, what's it like to come back to it? And they're like, it's weird. Like, I won't front. You know, like we have no more. It hasn't been this hands on with the game in a long time. Was like the way they phrased it, including 15. And so,
but there's a point in which you, like, after you write a story, you should put it down and walk away from it.
Yeah, you can't just keep adding new ideas to
you just
shit.
fuck it up.
Yeah,
and
we'll
like,
see.
This is a game that's been in like the public consciousness for a long time. They might be up their own asses about the story, you know, think it's something that it's not. But, I mean, hopefully they'll
the weirdest thing
sorry,
that was from a gameplay demo is I because this is the thing of like, are they going up their butts about it? I don't know. So there's the parts in the game where Cloud has the like headaches and like the sort of like vision / flashback things, right? Apparently when it starts, the ba 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 plays, but like it's like a weird distorted messed up version of the fanfare music, and you're like, what are you doing? But like, I mean, I'm kind of down. I don't know. Maybe it'll work in context. We'll have to see when it comes out in March.
I was about to say like one of the old elements of like the original game was the fact that like Sephiroth, you never really met Sephiroth, but you know about his fucking capabilities and destructiveness of Sephiroth. Like you developed a mythology of Sephiroth being this fucking badass guy before you actually meet him. And in this game, you actually do see him, or he speaks to Cloud. So
that's not him. That's like a vision of him. Like it's just they're visualizing the voices in his head, right? Because it's a different
thing. If I like that.
Yeah, what I'm hoping.
So, I mean, less is more. I don't know if I like that.
I'm hoping that doesn't just kind of like.
I walked out extremely excited for it. I'm
excited, but it's just like these things. It's like it's kind of questionable. It's like I hope they kind of do it right. You know, like if they're going to do it, I hope they do it right. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to rein in my cynicism, my natural cynicism. I'm trying to rein it in. Hope for the best, okay?
Fingers crossed. And then they had a bunch of just cool little weirdo announcements along the way. They had a nice trailer for Dragon Quest Builders 2. You know, I'm a sucker for that. They had
that game looks massive.
Oh yeah, huge.
I'm very excited. They had whatchamacallit, Resonance of Fate is getting a remaster of all things. Just a ton of
Resonance of Fate.
To be honest with you, a lot of the...
No, Resonance of Fate. What the fuck was it?
The Last Remnant.
The Last
Remnant. God, that's so many of these fucking names.
For Switch. Is that a Sega game?
Yeah, I'm about to say, that would be wild if they got Sega in there, but they didn't. The Last Remnant, thank you. And then they gave a date for Crystal Chronicles, which is winter. What's taking so long? It's been a full year.
I want to play that game.
And then they sort of ended with the eternal thing that's been hanging over my head the last 5 years when we talk about predictions. The Avengers game finally got showed off, and it was it was all right. It was all right. You know, like
I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a one though that like there was a gameplay demo on the show floor. Once again, I would have loved like just UI. You know, just really look at like what is the video game.
That blows my mind. Why the hell didn't they show any gameplay for that damn game?
Wait, none of that was gameplay? Are you sure? Because when he was flying around as Iron Man, that kind of looked like gameplay.
I think there might have been like snippets in there, but like it didn't show like actual.
It was not like long uninterrupted, right? Like you would want to see like okay, just they have that opening thing, have Fireman fly, and just like show him flying for a minute, right? And like have it clearly be like this is a video game you're playing. Yeah. Because I think for a lot of people they were like, is this CG? Is this not? Is this whatever? And like if they had made it more clear, I think it would have been. Maybe it would have helped, but I don't think it looks bad. I think it's just like, oh, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing more. Basically,
nothing. I mean, it looks average. Like nothing about it is disappointing, but at the same time, it's like there's no element to it that really excites me. Like I want to buy this game. It just looks okay.
I kind of like the conceit of the story so far. I mean,
I like the idea of the story.
Yeah,
sure, and
very very much Endgame vibes. 5 years later.
Yeah. It is such a weird thing for like, here's your 6 main Avengers, and it's like, not anymore, dog. like things have changed a lot in the MCU since you started making this game. But yeah, and then they announced People Can Fly, who did Bulletstorm game. Are making a new game called Outriders. That was another one that was just a CG trailer and talking to devs and seeing you know, a model on a screen behind them, basically. But and then this one's actually cool because Square has had a pretty good E3 for like bringing back their old games. The Romancing Saga games got announced during this conference too. Yeah,
it got announced for the PlayStation Vita, which is weird.
I know, it's that which is dead refuses to die.
How is that console still alive?
Japan.
Chugging along.
It's not even Japan. The Japan's moved on to the Switch. Then the same. This is such a Square Enix move. I do love this. I want to give a shout out. They had a Kingdom Hearts conference. They showed a trailer and they said, guys, please don't record this. We really need you to not record this. And they were like, no one's going to do it. And then just guess what? Like, of course, people recorded it and it was live the next day.
Yeah.
But instead, they just showed the same trailer again at the conference because they were just relying on the idea that no one would have seen this because only the people at the conference had saw it. And you're like, this is very much Square Enix. So that made me laugh a lot. But that was the.
Wait, you forgot the biggest announcement.
Oh,
Final Fantasy VIII's coming back.
It is.
Oh yeah, the remaster.
They called it remastered. That's one of those things that I saw a bunch of people like. Be like, why is it called remastered if it's not like Final Fantasy VII? Like, but it's like if you go back and you look at PS1 screenshots and you look at what that thing has, there's a difference, dog. Your brain is filling in gaps on the PS1 version that weren't there. Squall's face is just a big pixelated mess, and now you can actually see it, which is nice. And then they had a. I love whenever there is an MMO trailer in a conference. Because it hits like 10% of the audience. But for that 10% of the audience, they're like, what? Like that Final Fantasy 14 trailer. I had no idea any of the words they were saying the entire time.
Shadow, light, shadow, light.
They're primals. And like I was like, what is a primal? But I went back and I watched a reaction from one of the guys that plays the game. And he's like, what? Like he was like genuinely shook by the idea that these two characters are whatever primals are. So good for them, I guess. Fair play.
The light must fall. The darkness must rise.
Shadowbringers. You're going to be the Dark Knight. Cecil's going to come back.
Finally.
Good mercy.
But yeah, so that was Square Enix, and then it's time. We're just gonna hit that dang old Nintendo Direct, baby.
Oh, yes.
Let's do this.
This is an interesting. The Nintendo Direct. You get people talking about things beforehand, right? And the thing that like didn't leak at all, basically, was the thing they ended with, and we'll get to it. A sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. They definitely do not want to say Breath of the Wild 2. Please do not call it that. Nintendo has requested.
I mean, there's no way it would be called that anyway.
No. But this is
going to be called something like Cave of the Wild or something.
Cave of the...
I don't know. I don't know.
They've never repeated a word in a 3D Zelda. In a 3D Zelda subtitle, so we'll see. But this is a minute long. Who knows where it'll be?
Oh, never mind.
Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
I thought you were saying I didn't. You said 3D because I was like, they use the word Link on Link's Awakening and Link to the Past. But
yeah,
you said 3D.
Yeah,
so, you know.
But the tone of this trailer was dark. We said last week, we sort of said, like, do we think any of this things Breath of the Wild 2 is going to happen? And we all said it's too early for them to announce it. Boy, they made a fool of all of us. But
we're so stupid.
We're idiots. Why are you listening to us? But Majora's Mask, people, is the obvious comparison point, right? Because Ocarina of Time, same thing. You know, we're going to return to the same Hyrule. That was the thing that we know. And Aonuma, the producer for the Zelda series, said, "Hey, you know, it's not in the same world. It's like there will be no connections to Majora's Mask. It's not like they're story connected. And in some ways, we sort of think the tone is going to be a little bit more darker than that game, which this trailer indicates because it's like a freaking horror movie."
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, Majora's Mask is like, you know, widely known as like a really dark, depressing Zelda game, right?
Yeah.
Like, and when I explained Majora's Mask the other day to somebody, because I was wearing a T-shirt with Majora's Mask right on the front, and somebody was like, "Oh, what is that?" So I was like, "Oh, you know, I'm gonna be nerd for a minute, and I'm gonna explain this to them." And they're like, "That game sounds like really depressing."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it kind of is." And like, you know, just the fact that this is gonna be darker than that has me really excited.
Yeah, because
I don't understand why anybody thought it would be connected to Majora's Mask.
People are dumb. You have to address these things in interviews.
I don't know why anybody would think that either.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, it is the same Link and the same Zelda from Breath of the Wild. It is set post it, and seemingly there's a big green hand, and it's grabbing onto a corpse. We're all assuming that's Ganon's corpse, and there's a bunch of evil goo coming out of Ganon's corpse. But
and
then
most importantly, Zelda has a haircut.
She got that haircut. It looks great. And then it wakes up and you see Hyrule Castle rising out of the ground. And who knows what's going to happen next?
Going to the moon.
Zelda
on the moon.
Ooh.
Cue the DuckTales moon music.
There it is. We've been to the moon once before. We're going to return. It is Majora's Mask sequel.
Oh shit.
Oh no. But
got me.
But this is a thing. I mean, it was the reason it didn't get leaked is because they showed the direct to a bunch of press so the press can have their write-ups beforehand the week before, and this was not in the end of it. They added this in only for the first time it goes live, so no one knew about this being in the direct, which is pretty cool. That's the way
do that for everything.
That's the way you get around it. Yeah.
They should just be like, "Hey, press, here's our press conference." It's like 5 seconds, and then they actually show it during E3.
Just make a fake press conference for the press.
They should.
Oh,
Mario
boy.
takes a big fat smelly pee-pee is one of the games they put in there.
Yeah, I'm excited. I would be sad if that was fake. But then the things that they for that press thing, I guess you have any more thoughts on Breath of the Wild 2 at this point?
Can't fucking wait. I mean,
fucking
what else
hype.
is there to say?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that shit is hype.
I believe
see it coming.
I believe Ilse's quote, and I memorized it, was like, "My mind will never be the same."
Well, that whole direct had me feeling kind of
there was a bunch of like, what, you're doing this? To that direct. And certainly a thing that had that element was the way they opened and closed the direct, which was in the press thing, which was with Smash Brothers. Sakurai at the Smash tournament said, "Look forward to one character." He fibbed. There were 2.
I knew he was fibbing. I knew it.
Got him.
We got the first one opened up. You got Link fighting some evil sword boys. It's almost like they're asking you to be mad. All the sword boys are there. But then, riding on a horse, who comes in? The hero from Dragon Quest XI. And you're like, oh, this is not quite Erdrick. This is the Luminary. But then, don't worry. They have him fight a little bit. He is beat up real bad, feels bad. Guess who's there to help him? It's the other Dragon Quest heroes, and the official name is just Hero. That's for all of them. And they have the one from Erdrick, who is from Dragon Quest 3, shows up. They have Solo, who's from Dragon Quest 4, excuse me, and then 8, who doesn't have a name. He's just the guy from Dragon Quest 8, so everyone calls him 8. Oh well.
Everyone is here.
Everyone is here. I
personally adore the fact that there's 4, even though it's one character, there's 4 new sword fighters in Smash.
You count them. Yeah, I mean, as a big Dragon Quest fan, I was popping. I was like, man, I bet there's a lot of people angry on the internet right now, but I'm having a good time. But once again, it's that thing that I think that Smash is good at, which is like, you'll see a thing on paper and you're like, I don't know if I'm excited. And then you see it in execution and you're like,
I'm totally excited.
I'm mad at all. This looks great.
I feel bad for anybody who doubts Sakurai at this point.
I know. It's true. And then I love this. I love that they get a Mega Man style like Final Smash, where all the other heroes show up and they do a big Giga Slash. But like, it's fun because when we first heard Erdrick, it was like Dragon Quest 3 is a big deal in Japan, but it was nothing here, right? Like the biggest games in the West were like 8, 9, and then 11. And so there's a little bit for everybody, or they're throwing a little bit of a bone to the Western audience, right? By having 8 and the Luminary in there.
This was the right way to do it.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Yeah, and make it the whole series, like they're representing Dragon Quest as the whole.
Yeah. I was super into it after I saw how they were doing it. At first I was like, oh, Erdrick, like, I don't know, man, like I've never played a Dragon Quest game, and he just is like an old Dragon Quest character, right? Like, not familiar to anybody. But when I saw everybody else, and I was like, I recognize the Dragon Quest 8 guy, because like that game was like the biggest Dragon Quest game I think in America for a while on the PS2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I know that guy. Okay, like this is cool. This is really, really. I don't know this. I didn't expect this at all. Yeah. I don't think anybody did. So this is awesome.
Yeah. And then I guess before we get to the other guy, they did do right from this into Dragon Quest XI-S is still coming to Nintendo Switch. September is the day, September 27th. And it is they keep showing off new things. Perhaps the biggest deal actually is a lot of people complained that there was a MIDI soundtrack in Dragon Quest XI, and I understand 100%. Because you're walking on this world map and you're like, oh man, I don't know. But then now there is different DLC packs. I don't know if they're buyable or if you can just download them, but they have different OSTs from previous games. Dragon Quest VIII is the one that they really focused on. And that game has a great soundtrack. So I was very happy with that. But also in the 3DS version, there was Street Pass stuff you could do where if you Street Passed with like certain locations, you could go back to environments from old Dragon Quest games. Now all of those are just in the base game. You don't need to like connect with anything. It's just you can go back to the world of Dragon Quest VIII and all the other ones. And as a fan, I was super excited for that.
That's all part of Dragon Quest XI?
Yeah, it's all on the Switch. This is all only on the Switch version, by the way.
Wait, so how many times was that game released?
In Japan, there was a 3DS game and a PS4 game at the same time.
That's super weird.
The 3DS game, because the parts where it was 2D.
Yeah.
The whole gimmick of the 3DS version was that they made the game both in like 3D in the style of like Dragon Quest, the other Dragon Quest 3DS games, where it was like over the shoulder, behind you sort of perspective, and then they remade the entire game also in 2D sprites in the style of the SNES games. Mm-hmm. And you could swap to see the environments and how they looked. And they've included all the 2D parts from the 3DS game in this version. That's not in the PS4 version.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so there's like a million changes they did. Your party now shows up behind you in the field. It's all stuff that like doesn't matter, but I liked it a lot. But let's get to the big boy. Come on. Guh, he's here.
Oh,
man. A great trailer for this boy.
Fantastic. Oh
yeah. Awesome. It was fucking awesome.
It was great because there was 2 parts where you knew it was happening, right? Because they had the little intro of like, it's the K. Rool trailer again, right? Where they show all the villains, and then it shows, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, K. Rool. But then you see that Jiggy bounce by, and for the fans, you're like, I know what that is. This boy is here. And then for the people that didn't know and never played Banjo, they don't know what that means. But then they do the bit, look outside the window, see the silhouette. Oh, it's Duck Hunt, which is great because so many people made the joke when Duck Hunt got announced. I guess Banjo's never happening because it's
yeah,
a brown.
He's got a bird on his back.
Yeah.
But then and the fact that Duck Hunt had the audacity, they pull the joke where he's just laughing.
Oh, I was upset. I laughed,
almost like he's laughing at the audience.
Oh yeah. But then boom, they come flying in. Banjo-Kazooie, not with their nuts and bolts design, new look basically for them. They look great.
They look awesome. They just look perfect, right? Like it's just how you would imagine them to look coming out of the N64 days and now, not like the shitty nuts and bolts redesign.
They did not whip out a wrench the entire time.
It's the way Sakurai takes every character and just makes it their ideal version.
Yeah,
it's like perfect.
Yeah, they even got Grant Kirkhope to do the music for this game. I thought his stage and everything.
Which is crazy because they never contact any of the original composers for anything. They just do it with their own in-house people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and this is the first time they've ever done
it's the first time it's ever been a Western composer. Sakurai talked about that on his Twitter. He said, man, I thought there might be trouble communicating, but he got it. This was exactly what was in my head when
I saw him talking about Grant Kirkhope was Nintendo contacted me. My first thought was, are they going to put Banjo and Smash? And he's like, nah, no way.
That won't be.
So he's like, all right, give somebody. I guess somebody asked him to if they could have, Nintendo was like, oh, do you have his contact info to one of some mutual party.
Yeah, it was the guy who did.
Give him my info.
Yeah, it was the guy who did Mario vs. Rabbids, David Solianti. They contacted him.
Davide Soliani, yeah.
Yeah, Soliani. Yeah. They contacted him to get in touch with fucking Grant Kirkhope. This is kind of.
Oh yeah, because he did the music for
Mario vs. Rabbids.
Yeah.
And it was that thing of because so many of the original Rare guys are sort of in different places, but he was just on Twitter being they're home, he was just he's there's something about Banjo being on a Nintendo console again that just feels right, and he said he was crying. He cried when he saw it, and you're you know what, I mean, you get it. This is a thing that's been 20 years of just and it seemed impossible, right? People would.
Yeah, it did. It seemed impossible with the Microsoft acquisition of Rare and everything, but
yeah. And he looks like it's all, like you said, the moveset's all for Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, and they look, Spiral Mountain looks great. Grunty's flying around. The end where they basically just reference the ending of Banjo-Kazooie with K. Rool falling off the mountain because of the Ginginator and then getting crushed by the boulder.
Yeah,
I was like, you did it. This is great. That thing. I felt so happy.
And with K. Rool, he was the first. I think he was finally the first Western design character, fully Western design. But he's owned by Nintendo. He's part of Nintendo lore. But this seems even bigger because Banjo's the first Western actual IP, right? Because K. Rool is just part of the Donkey Kong universe. So this is even bigger than that. An actual Western IP here is part of Smash now, which is crazy.
Yeah, and that's so cool. And it's, man, like you said, and it's a thing that feels 5 years ago Nintendo wouldn't have been willing to do, right? They were willing, like you said, Banjo's raring to go, right? They're fully acknowledging the legacy of this company they don't own, they don't have connection to anymore, but they're no, he is with Donkey Kong and all these characters, they are connected, they're by the same people, and you should care about them in that way. And I thought it felt like a thing that you would not have imagined Nintendo being willing to do.
You never would have thought you'd seen the day 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And to see Microsoft's name in the bottom in the text at the end of the trailer, it's whoa.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Wait, so when are we going to get Joanna Dark?
Oh boy.
Hey, I mean, maybe
complete
James
the cycle.
Bond remember when James Bond was rumored for Melee? That was actually a thing in the talks.
Well, because it was the whatchamacallit. Because wasn't it the motion sensor bomb that messed with people?
The proximity mine.
Yeah, the proximity mine. Yeah.
From GoldenEye, it said top secret on the trophy.
Yeah, because they couldn't say GoldenEye because
they had the cloaking device from Perfect Dark in there too.
Yeah.
You need the laptop gun.
Oh baby. So that was really cool, and then they did a Doug Bowser joke I lost in my bets. It was fine.
Yeah.
They leaned into it.
He lost almost immediately.
It was funny though, because the pacing of it was very strange. Right, there was a bit where like Bowser was just sort of staring at the camera for a while, and I was like, "What?" And that was apparently because for in the Japanese Direct, they were explaining the joke. Bowser is called Bowser in America.
Oh my God.
Is Bowser. It's the same name. He's Koopa.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Which made me laugh a lot. But then Doug, he says, "What's up? Check out Luigi's Mansion." And he snaps his fingers. Luigi's Mansion 3 looks great.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
The Treehouse demo alone looks fantastic.
Like,
yeah, man.
It's a looker, Like, I was surprised, because when we first saw Luigi's Mansion 3 back in September, it was also when the 3DS remake was coming out, so people just sort of thought, oh, it's the 3DS version, and they're like, wait, no, this can't run on 3DS. But now, you know this can't run on 3DS. This game looks nice.
Yeah.
But they showed off a couple of new things. The slam mechanic. Now, whenever you're sucking on a ghost, you can press the A button to knock him into other ghosts and do more damage. And the plunger, which they already hinted at from whatchamacallit from the Smash trailer. And then Gooigi, a pervert. He's a pervert. I look at him. I don't want to be alone in the room with Gooigi.
You forgot about the jump.
Yes, and you can use a little burst to either jump or to push enemies away from you if you need space. But
I really love the setting of this game. The hotel is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And Mario, and the fact that Mario and Peach and Toad is there.
They're trapped in the paintings. You're like, oh no.
And you see, you first think, okay, it's gonna be in a hotel. You're like, well, I mean, I know hotels are big, but are they bigger than a mansion? But no, dude, this hotel is like the biggest fucking hotel in the universe. Yeah. Like, that thing is like towering over like the entire, you just see a picture of it, and it's just this like impossibly built hotel too. Yeah. It's just, you're like, okay, this is gonna be a huge game.
None of the Mario Crew questioned that, it seems. Like, they was like, okay, that seems normal.
They're all saps, dude.
yeah, we'll go to this hotel that, fucking evil looming over the top of it. Sure.
Yeah.
Mario's never scared. Come on.
Yeah.
That's true.
Real.
And sometimes that's a flaw. That's why Luigi made the difference. But that is... and also, they confirmed a few other things. Some of it in the Direct, some of it post-Direct. Musamil's nightmares and dreams. We'll bring these up, I guess, as we talk about these games. He said his nightmare is that it has the mission structure, and his dream is they have portrait ghosts back. Guess what? Mission structure's gone. Back to the Luigi's Mansion 1 style of exploration, and portrait ghosts are back.
Yeah,
so
nice. You see what Next Level Games even said? They're like, oh yeah, we just saw people complaining about it.
We read the forums. Yeah,
we read forums.
Nice.
So maybe they'll embolden the forum people to think that their whining will get them much, but I mean, I get it.
Oh yeah,
which was interesting because
it worked well here. They used their powers for good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sign of maturity to be able to take criticisms and fucking change.
What was originally developed.
# bring back the national decks.
I think
we'll get to that.
I think Next Level Games actually originally wanted portraits to be in Luigi's Mansion 2, but Miyamoto was saying that you may need to change the structure of the game to suit it for the 3DS. So that's why that mission structure was in there. Otherwise, there were certain developers that wanted.
Well, the portrait ghosts are a separate thing of the unique ghosts, is what I think people were really asking for with that, And those are back. They showed in the treehouse the movie, the studio level where there's this guy who's a director, and you have to sort of find his megaphone for him, and you do that by going to all these different sets, and you look through the camera and you see what the movie would look like, and it's very cool. But yeah, the boss fight's great. If you don't want to be spoiled by it, you don't have to look, but it's a very cool, neat way to do a Luigi's Mansion boss fight.
Very Psychonauts.
Even though Luigi is still a pervert. It is very Psychonauts. Yeah. But yeah, and they also confirmed Skyscraper mode is back from Luigi's Mansion 2, and it's more expanded, up to 4 players online, but you can have another person on the same console playing. So up to 8 players if everyone has another person in the room.
Fucking 8 people. Unbelievable.
Yeah. You can be a Luigi and a Gooigi. You can also do that in single player, or I guess, or in the campaign, I should say. Because if any other one has another Joy-Con, they can be Gooigi while you are Luigi. Hard to say those all back to back. But anyways, but it looks really good. I did not walk in. Luigi's Mansion is the games I always like, but like I was like, I don't know, there's a lot of games coming out. Like maybe I'll skip Luigi's Mansion or wait to get it later. I'm getting it. They got me. I'm a sap. Then after that, they had another weird just comeback, the Mana collection, and then Trials of Mana remake.
I can't believe this fucking happened. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So it's the third in the series. If you there's Final Fantasy Adventure, then Secret of Mana, then Trials of Mana. The Trials of Mana never came out here, and not only is it out now, they shadow dropped the collection of Mana, which has all 3 games, but it's getting a full, good-looking remake because Secret of Mana got a remake last year that maybe didn't look as good. But this is one of those things that you're like, I can't believe that they were willing to do this, you know? Because it required a full translation.
It's so weird. Like, they spent so long not translating this fucking game, and now they're just remaking it? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Like, why? So they re-release it, fucking perfectly translated, and now they're remaking it. I don't have words.
Yeah, it's really cool, but it's really cool, right? Like, you're just like, man, like, it's in the same way, you're like, this doesn't make sense, but I'm happy it exists. Then
I'm really happy it exists.
Yeah. And then they showed off a little bit of Link's Awakening remake. Brandon's nightmare was that this game is a 1-to-1 remake, and that is $60. One of those is true. It is $60. They do have, whatchamacallit, they do have a new thing, which is a dungeon maker, which is pretty crazy. As you go through the game, you collect these different rooms. You can put them together and make a dungeon that you can then run through. Unsure if you can share with people or not. They didn't specify any of that stuff particularly.
To be honest, this did not look that interesting.
Yeah.
The dungeon maker thing? No, because you just have to use pre-existing, just basically rooms that already exist in the dungeon, so you don't really get to make your own puzzles.
Yeah, preset rooms.
I mean, once you learn those rooms, it's going to be really trivial, but I think that there could be, because there is a timer in the corner, so it'd be cool if sort of like, I make a dungeon, who of you can beat it fastest on your first run, stuff like that could be neat, right? Just ways to expand it. And then they gave a release date, which is September 20th for...
Can't wait. I really can't wait. I mean, I fucking love this game. It's like one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't wait to replay it. It looks awesome. It
looks so good.
Yeah. Yep. And then after that, they had Fire Emblem 3 Houses story trailer. We got Saf's dream was that there would be multiplayer where you both like fought each other, and the nightmare was that there would be petting. Seemingly neither of these things happened. But we did get I mentioned last week that there was a leak that was going around that had like a thing that I was like, they're holding back. This is the thing they were holding back. There's a time skip in this game.
Yeah.
You're not just in school the whole time. And that they showed in the treehouse that there's a calendar that's clicking throughout the school year, and that eventually you send kids out to train and do all these other things, but eventually, as we sort of probably expected, they're gonna come to blows. The war is gonna break out, and all your kids are gonna be trying to kill each other, and you're gonna be in a real rough spot.
The leader of the Blue Lions actually looks cooler 5 years later.
There was a poll before and after the direct of who are you picking, and the Blue Lions gained like 20% because that guy has an eye patch now. He does not look like a loser anymore. And Edgelord looks like the bad guy. She has literal horns, so it's fine. But I thought this was a really good trailer, actually. It was fun. I think that like for a lot of people, like they sort of got the school thing, but I think this gives a good narrative hook. And it's like, oh, you're training them in the school for what they're going to be as units in the upcoming war, basically.
Yeah. One of the coolest things I saw about this game is that any single class or any single unit can be any class in the game.
Yes.
I don't like that.
Well, there are things that units are better at, right? So the game will sort of tell you, hey, this guy's predisposed to be a Lancer, this guy's predisposed to be a Pegasus Knight, whatever. But if you say I'm missing a huge gap in my team right now because of the class, the of the three teams, whichever one I picked, you can make someone work in that context, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They can switch between. They can, if they've already gained that class, they can go back to it. You can you're not stuck in one class either.
Yeah.
You can kind of do that in Awakening after you max out the character, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Awakening and Fates.
Because there's the seals you need to change, and
and
basically, but there's a limited number of them. It's seemingly you won't there's not that as much of a limit on it in this game.
They have to pass a test or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to train them in a specific area, and if they can pass the test, then they can gain that class.
I do think it's nice though because because seemingly, barring something happening, the children aspect of the game is gone.
Yeah.
So this is a fun way to make sure that you still have some level of customization with your units.
I heard a rumor that there's time travel in this game.
Maybe.
God.
There's a line in the trailer that make people think that that's gonna happen.
Please.
They already said there's romance, so
yeah. Well, maybe the kids will be back and we'll never stop having these kids in these games.
5-year time skip, so seemingly all your students are now.
There's two things I like about it.
Yeah. So now you can romance the kids, Zach. Don't you worry.
There's two things I like about it. The one is the school teaching parts, because I like the kind of element of micromanaging and trying to customize your unit. Mm-hmm. And the other part is the fact that it's if you choose a side, after that time skip, you and that side are ride or die.
You're locked in.
Yeah, you're locked in.
Ride or die.
Basically.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
I wonder, is this game going to be 3 different games in one?
That is the question, right? Because if it is, will the maps be the same but the units are different? Stuff like that. There's still questions we don't know the answers to.
Replayability.
Oh, yeah.
But and the customization helps with the replayability, right? You won't just have the same units every single time.
Fully voice acted, by the way, just like
Echoes. Yeah. And they brought back the Echoes thing of you have a limited number of resources where you can basically turn it back one turn.
Yeah.
So it won't be as reset heavy, which was a thing I liked a lot in Echoes.
And they have the special arts or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so that game, like I said, coming in July, I'm way more excited now. Actually, it sort of all came together for me. Mm-hmm. Watching the Treehouse thing plus that trailer, there's a lot going on that I'm interested in.
You just want to murder your students. I know what
that too. It's been 5 years working in the school system. I am fully prepped. I
hope nobody important listens to that.
No, I'm not employed there anymore.
Damn.
2 more Resident Evil games were announced. Everyone's favorite Resident Evil game.
I love Resident Evil, but this was big sleep for me.
Weird amount of time spent on this, right?
The longest amount.
Weird amount of time to announce fucking Resident Evil 5 and 6.
Yeah, it was sort of, I think, just them saying, "Hey, if you missed it, we have basically 1 through 6. We don't have actually a lot of them, but we have 6 Resident Evil games on here. Try them.
We don't have 2 and 3.
We don't have 2 and 3, but we do have Revelations 1 and 2
and 0.
So that was, but like I said, maybe the weirdest pacing of the direct was that in my mind.
It was a waste of time.
It was. I didn't pay attention to it.
You could have just announced that, something else, drop that trailer on YouTube or something. I don't care about that.
I didn't pay attention to it, but are the prices still ridiculously high?
Of course they are.
Yeah,
yeah.
Switch
but
tabs.
That's what it is. Well, they cost that much on other things too is the problem in a lot of ways. It's also a Capcom problem. But then I got a trailer. Brandon, I know you were excited for this. No More Heroes 3 officially announced.
God.
It's coming
so
out.
Fucking good.
Surprised that they announced it so soon.
I couldn't tell. Was there gameplay?
I think he said later that was not gameplay. That was the UI was there, but it was supposed to be indicative of the gameplay experience, not actually it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that wasn't gameplay. Okay.
We got fucking suplexes and shit.
Yeah.
Travis is back, baby.
The end of Travis Strikes Again all but confirms we want to make another one, but you thought that might be a year off. No, dog. Yeah. It was 5 months off. And the 2020 is the date that we have for that.
Oh, man. He's Suda, man. I love the boy. And he's going to be first of all, I follow him on Twitter. He was having a blast at E3, man. He's taking selfies with everybody. He's just having the time.
He loves it.
He really does. and he's still going to be at Sakurai's door every morning knocking on the door. Is it time for Travis and Smash?
Him and Kamiya now. Kamiya's adding Sakurai on Twitter being like, where's Beautiful Joe? And Sakurai's like, So now it's just going to be him and Suda knocking every morning asking.
You shared that tweet to me, and I was like, don't do this. Don't give me hope right now.
But either way, very happy that exists.
Matt Bozon to be calling him now. Where's Sean?
Oh, boy. Daemon X Machina got a release date, and the thing was called like the direct feedback trailer, or I mean the demo feedback trailer. So it was supposed to be saying like, hey, we listened, we worked on this stuff. The frame rate looks a lot better from the Treehouse demos, especially in single player. Multiplayer, a little bit framey, but it's fine. But that is coming September 13th. So
also looks amazing.
Fucking looks
man.
The giant.
So the action is so. Oh man, it's so good.
There's a lot going on. Lots of stuff going on.
Giant boss fights.
I can't wait.
Fucking cool as shit. Like the amount of strategy you have to implement in and outside of the boss fight, like picking the right gear and deciding how you would want to attack, and especially if it's like co-op where you have to coordinate with other people. Oh, I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the co-op's good. Oh.
Then we got this is another one that I love. Just Panzer Dragoon's getting a remake. Super cool.
Panzer Dragoon.
I don't know.
Question about Panzer Dragoon. All right, that series. How many games are there? Right.
I think there's 3.
Is there 3? Because I wasn't sure if like Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Saga
they're
are
different.
2 different things.
They're different.
And then there's Orca, right? So that's one.
Orca?
Yes, Orda. Orda is.
Orda. Okay, Free Willy.
Yes.
All right. So I don't know. I was very confused. Which was this? Is the Sega Saturn one? Yes or no?
This is the Sega Saturn one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. I just wanted to clarify.
Get some clarification. I understand.
Lots of forgotten games coming back, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, though. No, it's super cool. I mean, they're remaking that game. I thought it was a sequel. I instantly was like, oh, that's Panzer right there, right? Like the dragon with the big ass, like nose thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, is this a sequel or remake? What's going on here? But yeah, wow. Who would have thought that was coming? Is Sega, this wasn't a first party game, right? Because I didn't see Sega's name on that at all.
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Maybe it was never first party, and then the longest time in my head, I think it is, because I think it was in Sonic and All Stars. Is it like a ToeJam and Earl scenario where like they own it but they don't really care?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, dog. I'm not. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but
yeah, it's weird.
I remember it was in Sonic and All Stars Racing, so I think it's them.
Okay. Because like ToeJam and Earl, like I know they own ToeJam and Earl, but we just got a new ToeJam.
Well, they're willing to license out, right?
But it's an indie game.
Because like Streets of Rage got licensed out too, right?
That too, yeah. Sega don't give a fuck. They're like, we're not doing shit with any of this. You go ahead and make it yourself.
I'm not mad. Speaking of, the Big C is back. Contra Rogue Core gets showed off.
Oh man, it's that 2012 Contra finally.
I know, finally we're getting that. It's back, baby. And then also
that game I want to say looked cool, but like also looked ugly as shit. Like
graphically, it does not.
Graphically, it looks like shit, like a Wii game almost. Like just like I don't know how muddy it looks, but like the gameplay looks cool, and you get to play as a panda.
Yeah, key for your bet.
You have to fight off a giant Terminator, which just looks awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a guy like rips off a helicopter blade and like throws it at some. I'm like, this is cool. I'm into the action, but like it looks like shit.
I mean, there's also the collection
but then
that came out. Oh, that was
let's say the collection got shadow dropped too. So 2 collections same day. Really cool. It has whatchamacallit. It has Operation C for the Game Boy. And Probotector.
Oh my.
Which is for Contra 3 and Hardcore. So they're doing Konami. They announced this, and they also announced that the Intellivision is getting, not the Intellivision, the TurboGrafx is getting a thing again, which is crazy.
Oh, TurboGrafx Mini, like classic console thing.
Yeah.
How is this happening? I don't understand.
What a weird world. And then we'll run through a few things. Mario and Sonic looks good. It's 2020, so maybe they're like, hey, it's our country, we have to make this game look good. But there's just like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater mode in that game, which is pretty wild.
Dude, I can't wait for that.
Peach is wearing a karate gi and just punching Bowser in the face. It's very funny.
Also, Tails punches Peach right in the face.
I know. How dare you?
Wow.
Wow. But then Cadence of Hyrule is out now. They announced it was for June 13th, but now it's past that point, so you can download
it.
That's today.
Well, today that we're recording this.
Yeah. And then we got... I'm just going to run through some like third-party things that happen really fast before we get to some of the final big Nintendo games. Alien Isolation coming to Nintendo Switch. Pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Witcher 3 coming to Nintendo Switch. Pretty cool. New Super Lucky Star coming to Nintendo Switch. Pretty cool. Spyro Remastered Trilogy coming to Switch. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I don't know if you have any more thoughts than that, but like, it's Witcher 3 obviously looks worse. It was always going to.
I have a thought.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
I like that.
Very simple.
You know what's also pretty cool, Brandon?
What's that?
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
That's more than pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, dude. They're going for it. My dream, multiplayer, more expanded. My nightmare, looks like a New Leaf again. The multiplayer thing happened, the nightmare didn't. So I'm totally happy.
You got it all, brother.
We're building it up from the beginning. You're in a tent. Tom Nook's flying you out to a deserted island. You jump out of an airplane. It's a battle royale game. No, you are building your town from the beginning, and you can build roads. You can now put furniture outside. You can now dictate to your villagers where you want their house to be, which is a big deal. And it looks wonderful. And you can now have up to 8 people just hanging out on your island together, both in co-op together on the Switch if you share a Joy-Con, or online.
8 friggin' people. That's a lot of people in your village at once, man. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Too many.
One piece of news, they had to apologize. They said, hey guys, it's going to be 2020. March 30th, 2020. But I mean, the reasoning was we didn't want to have to crunch. And I mean, if we are going to be out there complaining about crunch culture, then we have to accept that some games are going to get delayed.
Good for Nintendo. So, well done, then.
I mean, it helps us because we're 2019 is fucking packed.
Yeah.
And, between Pokemon and all these other Nintendo games, we got Astral Chain, fucking Fire Emblem, all the stuff. I mean, Mario Maker, we're going to be busy.
Yeah.
So it's, give us a little breather, and that's all we need, right? Like, this is perfect. And then, I can't wait, man. And I can't wait, but I have to wait, but I'm okay with waiting.
And then this is the one, going to be a lot to get to here, that didn't happen in the Direct itself. Pokemon Sword and Shield. They said, hey guys, if you spent $90 on a Pokeball, you can take your Grookey with you. So
Great. That thing's going to collect dust, and I tell you, it's probably going to collect more dust, because I'm not probably going to even bother with that.
Yeah.
Grookey, the official pick of Nintendo.
It's true.
Okay.
Just get ready. Grookey boys, rise up.
I mean, we sort of knew the Pokeball would not work the minute they showed off camera control, because there's no second stick or buttons, really, on that controller. So it's nice they're throwing a bone. But they showed off. The game looks great, right? But they did have a little bit of a bit of bad news to deliver on the Treehouse thing. Junichi Masuda and Omori, who Masuda manages all of Pokemon. Omori is directing this game. Said, hey, you can transfer Pokemon from Pokemon Sword and Shield to Pokemon Home, but unless they are in the Galar Dex, you cannot transfer a Pokemon from Pokemon Home to Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yikes. Big yikes.
Which is, I mean, in a follow-up from Mitsu interview, he said 2 things that I think are important caveats. They still want you to have ways to interact and play with the Pokemon that you have in Pokemon Home, right? And that he's like, personally, I'm disappointed by this. I understand if other people are, but for the game to essentially be, for us to try to do other things, we have to at some point cut this off. Right, like getting 900 Pokemon in every single game took up so much development process that we had trouble making the actual game itself, right? And so, I
get it.
It's understandable,
I get it.
I think,
but
it also still sucks, and he's not going to complain about that. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people are very mad. I wouldn't say I'm very mad. I would say I'm bummed. Right.
Yeah.
Because until you know that regional deck, you don't know if your fave's going to show up.
I mean, reasonably miffed.
Ludicolo.
Mine is.
Yeah, Brandon got Diggersby confirmed, so he doesn't have to worry.
He was in the direct. I'm good. I'm still disappointed regardless.
I'm disappointed. I got Butterfree, so I'm happy. But I still need to wait for Buffalo.
It's a thing. It's I understand people that are upset.
Yeah,
I really do. But then I've seen a lot on the internet the last couple of days, and the one thing that really makes me laugh is the people who are mocking the people that are upset. And because they don't understand. They just don't understand why people are upset. And so they start mocking them. Like I saw this one meme where it was like, oh, all these dumb Pokemon fans complaining that they can't use their level 1 to make the game level 100 Pokemon to make the game real easy. I'm like, that is not one single person is out there being upset about.
No, I mean, because
that's not.
Yeah, I mean, because they did. I mean, the thing is funny because that interview was like almost 10 years ago. I mean, it was not almost 10 years ago, but it was 2011 actually, so it is pretty close. When they announced Pokemon Bank, they said their plan was we don't want to have a Gen 3 again where there's a break, right?
Yeah.
Or where you can't keep bringing your Pokemon forward.
And I think they even mentioned it during that Pokemon Direct, how they know it's important to people when they talked about Pokemon Home. They even talked about it.
The way that they phrased it from the Famitsu interview, and this is all translated, so things may change in days and weeks as different people get different looks at it. But essentially, they said that they still plan by the end of the Switch's lifespan to have a game where you can put every Pokemon in. Right? There will be another game on Switch that will be Pokemon. Pokemon that aren't in the Galar Dex will be in that game, and that by the end, there will be a game you could... Not all 900 Pokemon can be in a game on Switch, right? But limiting it, but segmenting that off will make it'll change a lot of how people play competitive and a bunch of other stuff, right? And they also confirmed that Z moves and Mega Evolutions won't be in this game.
Yeah. That's also very disappointing.
I'm fine with it because I think that having all three of those in a battle's a lot.
That would have been too much to juggle.
There's so many Mega Evolutions that I really enjoyed.
There are a lot of cool Mega Evolutions.
And it really just takes some Pokemon and just makes it so like, hey, we're pointless again.
Yeah, but also Mega Evolution made a lot of Pokemon pointless because suddenly some Pokemon had legendary stats insanely. Don't want to get too into
Kangaskhan, I never cared about Kangaskhan until Mega Evolution.
Yeah, and that's true. And it's the ones where it was like a fun extension of the idea, right? That's the ones that are bummers.
Now I'm gonna see a Kangaskhan go.
No.
The sad thing about it.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say the sad thing about it is that those you can never access those designs anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing that's a bummer. The thing is like it was going to probably have to happen eventually, and I think they basically said like we sort of like apparently they had thought about it in Sun and Moon, which is why there was no national dex.
Yeah,
was because it was at the very last second they were able to get that done, and so maybe they thought we could barely if we're adding in 100 new guys then we won't. But yeah, like I said, it's not game ruining. I'm still gonna probably have fun still in Sword and Shield, but until then, it's still a thing that is a bummer. Pour one out for your boy.
Pour one out for whatever boy we find. We don't know for sure, but I'm sure there's a boy out there that we're gonna pour one out for.
That Blaziken that I had, for Kangaskhan, maybe. But until then, but I guess it's worth mentioning they just show a new gym leader, and she looks cool. Her name's Nessa.
Hey, I love her.
And we did get 2 Pokemon confirmed from the demo. One of which is a little electric corgi. I forget his name. But he's very cute. And then a dark fairy type, the first ever, Impidimp, who's just a little guy that's like, he's sticking his tongue out. I love him.
Impidimp, he's cool.
Yeah. So, that is still, we had the direct last week, so we don't want to go too much on that. But anyways, wanted to address that piece of bad news. But then, I guess, is there anything else that we should hit from the
fucking Astral Chain?
Boom. You're right. Astral Chain looks really good. The Treehouse things look really good. Like, go watch those Treehouse
demos,
whatchamacallits, segments. Because that game, your thing was I want it to be like Bayonetta. I don't want it to be like Devil May Cry 2. And I mean, I guess we can't know until we play it, but looking more on the Bayonetta side is what we'll say right now.
Yes. And even like a little bit more expanded. I like the platforming uses of the whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm.
The chained guys or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just got like a closer look of the characters and their whole relationship with the world around them and the monsters that they're controlling.
They had an interesting level of customization that I did not expect from this game. Like, in terms of, like, character creation.
I really thought there were not... your main characters are customizable. That was the thing we just learned. And you're like, oh, wow. I thought it was just going to be the anime boy with the slightly blue hair, or the anime girl with the slightly blue hair.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
And it looks like you can switch your Legion guys, right?
Yeah. The people you send out. And so, that game looks complex, but I look forward to playing it.
The city itself looks fucking pretty. Like, the tech in there, or like the future tech that they're showing in there is really, really cool. Like, it's nice sci-fi bullshit that I enjoy.
And then, let's see. Any other pieces of E3 news you guys want to get to before we call it sort of a wrap on that?
They showed off Silk Song. That was pretty cool.
They did. Check out all of Treehouse, obviously. Always great. Over time. You don't have to all do it in a day. But Indie Day this year was really fun. It was there was a game which is called Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, which got announced 2 years ago, and like it never got press. It got a lot of people being like, wow, this game looks really cool, actually, because of it. Yeah. Silk Song, I mean, obviously, it's not like the people that made Hollow Knight are probably not going to make a bad follow-up, you know? Yeah. But like,
I highly doubt it.
It looks great.
Do we have anything extra to say about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3?
There's a season pass.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
We're going to be playing it. We'll have a lot to say when we talk about it on the Game Club. And then, and I guess they did announce the season pass, which has Fantastic Four and additional X-Men, and I forget the last one. But anyway. I forget the last one, too.
Marvel Knights, I believe it was.
Yes,
Knights,
that is correct. And that also had a fun Treehouse segment if you're interested in that game.
Is it just characters, or did they expand, like, is there like a story DLC part of it?
They didn't specify, seemingly just characters, but...
Yeah, okay.
Either way, that is the E3, basically. One more thing. Important follow-up. Keanu, second most voice lines of any character in Cyberpunk.
He's a big character, then.
He is second only to the main character in terms of voice lines. Apparently, he's the Cortana in your ear, basically, throughout that entire game, which I don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. That's going to be... wow. I wasn't excited for that game, but I am now.
As long as he keeps telling me that I'm breathtaking, I'm okay.
That's true. They're going to put that in the game 100%. But yeah, so there it is. That is so many games coming out. So many games that are out right now. Like, good shadow drop E3. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would say I enjoyed E3. I mean, just from Microsoft, good. Nintendo, amazing. You know, also Square was good. So, like, just those three being as good as they were, honestly, made E3 pretty good for me. The rest, kind of sleep through it. But, lots of cool indie games, too. Yeah. So
shout out to the
trash.
Yeah, it was trash. Ubisoft was whatever. It wasn't, like, horrible, but it was, like, there was a couple of bright spots.
They were there.
It was the Tom Clancy show.
Yeah. PC Gaming was good.
Devolver Digital was fantastic.
Devolver Digital was good. Yeah. So, like, overall, more hit than missed, right?
Wow. We didn't even talk about VR. Wow, what a bunch of assholes.
Upload VR. We're very sorry. That is... Yeah, because I saw a lot of people be like, this was the most boring E3 in forever. And, like, if you go back to, like, E3 2012, which was sort of a very similar point in the last console cycle, it was a much worse thing.
Who are these people that you talk to that are so stupid?
I don't talk to them. I just see them. I don't engage. I simply observe in the wilderness. But that is, I mean, from us, thumbs up for me for E3 2019.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
But then, so many games that are going to come out that are out. Let's talk about games that have already been out on the list. Follow along in the paste bin below. Saf, last week.
What?
Oh. brought Devil May Cry 2. He wanted to move his average down. And he did by putting it at number 96 on the list out of 111 that we're working with.
Pretty good at. That's a good way to bring down your average.
It's true. Ills, you are bringing a game this week. What could it be?
Hot diggity dog. I am bringing the very first game I ever picked to the old game club. A little game called Crusader No Remorse.
Crusader No Remorse.
Oh, boy.
Oh yeah,
that's a game.
It is a game. This is a PC game.
Okay.
Kind of an action, sort of like a point and click action game. Sort of like
it came out on the PS1, by the way. I should mention.
Mm-hmm. Fuck that.
And Saturn, which is weird.
And the Saturn.
Okay. It came out on those things, and it's kind of like a point. It's sort of like a Diablo game, but you use guns instead of melee weapons.
Yeah,
and
isometric.
Isometric. Stationary camera. You move from room to room. You're like a super soldier, kind of like Judge Dredd almost. Like a post-apocalyptic. You know the word I'm trying to say.
Post-apocalyptic.
There you go. And it's just like a huge government conspiracy. You're working for the resistance now. Blah 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 blah. The game is insanely hard. It's kind of hard to control, but it does some interesting things. It has some decent graphics for the time, and it's like one of the first games. Well, I don't know if this is true, but one of the first games I've ever known of that lets you like hack the enemy machines and use the camera systems to figure out what the next rooms are gonna be. It's pretty cool. It's a nice little sci-fi game. Very weird live action. Character interactions.
I loved that part of that game. That was a good part.
That was fun.
You talking to the people in the bar in between levels.
They were very animated. I'll say that.
Is FMV acting? You can envision it. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Brandon and Saf played it.
Yep.
Okay. You want to talk about it?
For the most part, I got really pissed at playing this game. It was hard as fuck to control. So I played it. I downloaded it off GOG or Great Old Games or whatever the fuck it is. So I downloaded it off that for my PC. Still got it on my PC actually, but you cannot plug in a controller for this game, and goddamn it would that have helped me, because playing this game on a keyboard is a mess.
But it was made for the PC in mind.
It was made for the PC in mind, but playing it on the keyboard was very difficult for me.
Interesting.
It was very hard to control.
It definitely took fucking getting used to those controls.
Yeah, once I started getting used to it, it has a lot of really cool ideas that I like. Like you mentioned, with taking over control of the robots or the turrets and the guns, and it had like cool like side weapons from what I remember. The different like tech that you could use was interesting. But it was very fucking challenging. Like, it didn't help that the controls were hard to get used to, because the game was like relentless after the first couple levels. Like, the first couple were like, okay, I can do this, and then it like the difficulty like revs up for me. Like, and I was like, damn, this is fucking hard.
Like sharply. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And this game is long as fuck.
Yeah, I didn't even beat this game. I don't even remember how far I got, but it was fucking difficult as hell.
I finished it, but it brought me to my limit. I think it pushed me to the brink.
Yeah. So I don't know. The game has issues, but it also is, like you mentioned, it looks really good for the time, and brought some cool ideas to the table. But I think it's still not without its own issues. So it's not really. It's weird. It's okay. I wouldn't even say it's not great. I would say it's good, but
it's decent. I think one of the major problems is that the targeting is there basically is no targeting. You just sort of shoot in their direction and hope it hits them.
Yeah, and that's a problem I have a lot of times with isometric games. Like I would prefer like an isometric like sword slasher kind of like thing, but when it comes to shooting in isometric, it's like, oh no. Like there's games that do it right. Like Bastion is a good example of like an isometric view that's like perfect. But there's games that also like drive me nuts with it. Like, especially this game didn't have platforming, but fucking isometric platforming makes me want to kill myself.
Landstalker.
But I don't know. Where would you put this game on the list? I don't know.
Oof. I'd say maybe like 90s probably. Somewhere in the 90s. Probably like above Second Sight. Maybe above East. No, above Second Sight.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually a really good spot, like, for it, honestly.
All right.
Second Sight, yeah, I think it's better than Second Sight.
Saf, any thoughts?
Saf died on his way back to his home planet, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
We removed him right from the film. We just pulled the animation cell right out.
Yeah, right there. He lives in a post-Brexit world now, and he got taken over by a grandma.
Okay.
So you guys have the deciding vote. So you both agree with that?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think that's a good spot for it.
All right.
God damn. Justice for the Mark of Cree.
Maybe. That is the list for this week. That is Crusader No Remorse coming in at number 92 out of 112 now. We added one more surrounding it. East One Chronicles, God Hand at 91, Crusader No Remorse, as I said, at 92, Second Sight at 93, 94, Mark of Cree. You want to know a fun fact? It is completely surrounded by Game Club games and was an original Game Club game. We know how to pick them, boys. So, if you want to listen to literally about any of these games except for Crusader No Remorse, which you just heard us talk about, check out the playlist on both YouTube and SoundCloud. Works out. You know what? I'm going to steal the final phrase this week, if that's okay.
I was going to give it to you anyway, because, yeah.
I did not play this game. But while I do that, plugs. Check out later this week. Fire Emblem. The Binding Blade. These guys have put the time in. I'm not going to be able to be around for it, but they have been pushing through to beat this game in time for the
I was
Game
playing
Club.
it during this episode, to be fair.
Oh, boy.
Fuck?
Wow. The viewers feel betrayed by this.
No
Hey,
concentration.
You talk about Bethesda. I was like, well.
I'll take it a break. So yeah, reward them with a listen. Why not? And then, like I said, every Monday you can find this podcast. Next week I will be gone. I don't know who will be piloting the podcast, but it'll always be interesting. So be sure to check it out then, and you can make sure to know when it goes live by going to twitter.com/jumpupsupercast and making sure to get updates there. Also on facebook.com/jumpupsupercast, and we have an Instagram as well. But one thing, Brandon, that we had E3 bets that were done on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/jumpupsupercast, while Muzamil was playing Croc.
That's true.
And the bets were Muzamil was fulfilling a bet from last E3 playing Croc.
Wow. Barely had time to finish that one.
Yeah. But the bet was that whoever wins gets to pick a game for the other three people to play. You, Moose, and a guy who we don't mention on this podcast. So I was going to ask you, are you going to stream the game that I pick? I won't make it be overly long if you say yes. I'm not going to give you the Xenoblade Chronicles.
Well, thank you.
Damn it.
Thank you very much. I'm already playing Xenoblade Chronicles, but yeah.
Give him part 2.
Well, I mean, at least I'm already like 3/4 of the way through that game.
Yeah.
But, if I have the capability to do it, sure. If it's on
playing that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then Muzamil, he last year was supposed to play Wind Waker. He didn't. He said, I want to go double or nothing. And the thing was, he said, if a double or nothing means you get to pick 2 games, and one of them can be truly, truly awful. I wanted it to be Sonic 06, but he has no way of streaming it. But I will find a bad game for Muzamil to play because he deserves it.
Well, hey, how about Crusader No Remorse?
See, I can stream, anything on the Switch, anything on the Xbox, anything on.
But like I said, I think I'm gonna have Moose do his bad game first, then I'll tell you yours, then I'll tell Moose his other game he owes me. That way you can alternate maybe. But either way, so look forward to that. But for the final phrase, we mentioned it earlier, right? That Animal Crossing got delayed because of crunch, right? And when Animal Crossing got delayed, Nintendo's stock price dropped a lot. And you're looking at people were saying, see, this was a bad idea. This is why, look at how people get rewarded for doing bad things, right? But I think it is very cool. There was on the Giant Bomb podcast, on the Giant Bomb Night Show, there was a person from the Game Workers Union who's pushing for unionization in video game development, right? And Nintendo and companies like Ubisoft generally tend to treat their employees right, but there's a lot that don't. And that was a very interesting and insightful interview. I did not know a lot of this stuff walking in that I walked out now. So if you just Google Giant Bomb E3 Night 2, you should be able to find it. Check out that interview because it'll change. It might help you learn something and help you remember that the people that make these games are people, and we should treat them like they are important and matter because we can't play games without them.